The first thing I heard after regaining consciousness was a soft, horrified gasp, followed by a voice whispering something that definitely wasn't in any human language. My vision sharpened slowly, like my eyes were rebooting after a software update, and the blurry shape above me resolved into the face of a woman, almost human, except for the long, elegant ears rising from her head like sleek, living antennae. They twitched the moment I focused on her. She jumped back, then leaned in again, then jumped back again. Clearly, she and her ears were having an internal argument about me. "Are humans real?" she blurted, ears shooting straight up. I tried to sit up, but my body made a sound somewhere between a groan and a dying spaceship. "That depends," I muttered. "Where am I, and is this a dream involving extremely creative anatomy?" Her ears flattened. "You talk." "Only when conscious. Sometimes in my sleep, but those conversations are less interesting." She stared, studying me with scientific intensity. I could almost hear her mentally listing my limbs, the way you might check off exotic wildlife traits. I glanced around, taking in the luminous purple trees curved like giant spirals, the glittering mist floating low to the ground, and the sky, layered with two moons and something suspiciously like a whale-shaped cloud drifting against all known aerodynamics. Definitely not Earth, definitely not a dream, definitely my fault. I tried standing. My legs disagreed. She rushed forward and caught me with surprising strength for someone whose arms looked built more for music than manual labor. "Careful," she said, grunting slightly as she kept me from face-planting. "Humans are heavier than the myths described." "I've always been dense," I said. "Ask any of my exes." Her expression didn't react, but her ears twitched in what I suspected was confusion, or concern, or mild sympathy. Hard to tell, they were very expressive. She helped me to a nearby stone-like surface that pulsed faintly beneath me like it was alive. The moment I sat, it adjusted its temperature. Alien furniture with customer service. Nice. She approached cautiously, now maintaining a respectable distance, as though I might explode or spontaneously shed fur. "I am Lithari," she said. "What do humans call themselves?" "Humans," I said. "We kept it simple." She blinked. How disappointing. I rubbed my face, trying to recall the last moments before I crashed. My ship had been running a standard long-distance drift, nothing dramatic, nothing dangerous, nothing requiring me to poke at the quantum stabilizer. And yet I had poked at the quantum stabilizer, with a multi-tool, and duct tape. In my defense, the duct tape had seemed important at the time. "Why are you here?" she asked. "Well, I didn't exactly book a vacation. Something knocked my ship off course. It crashed. I survived, mostly by accident." She tilted her head, ears dropping slightly as she studied my ship's smoking wreckage half buried in glowing moss. "Your craft should not have entered our skies. This world has been hidden from humans for many generations." "Hidden? What did we do? Forget to RSVP to a galactic party." "You do not understand," she said quietly. "Humans are legends, old myths, stories told to children to explain why the stars once changed shape." I paused. "Wait, you're telling me humanity is your bedtime story cryptid?" Her ears bounced once, which I was 90% sure meant yes. We stared at each other for a long moment. A breeze drifted between us, carrying shimmering specks that clung to my clothes like glitter with ambition. She brushed one off my shoulder before instinctively recoiling, as though touching a human might trigger a curse, or allergies. I tried again to stand. This time my legs cooperated enough to make me look only mildly ridiculous. She stepped closer, hovering, ready to catch me if gravity betrayed me again. "We should get you away from the crash," she said. "Others will come. Good others or bad others. The kind who bring scanning devices," she said. "And questions, many, many questions. So bureaucrats." Her ears perked in what I felt was amusement, though she tried to hide it. She led me through the forest toward a narrow path that glowed faintly when we stepped on it. The light reacted to her presence more strongly than mine, which she said meant the planet recognized her. When it dimmed under me, she added, "Or it is afraid of you, hard to say." As we moved deeper into the luminous woods, I felt the tension of the crash slowly unwinding, not disappearing, but bending into something less sharp. She asked about my world, interrupting herself every few steps with observations like, "Your hair is strange," or "Do your ears not move at all?" or "Why are you shaped like that?" In return, I learned that her people hadn't seen a human in thousands of cycles, if ever, and that someone had deliberately erased every scrap of historical record about us. "Why hide us?" I asked, her ears lowered. "I do not know. But I intend to find out." We walked together beneath the glowing canopy, two strangers bound by curiosity and an increasingly suspicious coincidence. Whatever had brought me here wasn't chance. And whatever her people believed about humans, I had a feeling the truth was far stranger and far more dangerous than either of us yet understood. The forest changed as we moved, shifting from soft, glowing blues to tall prismatic stalks that bent slightly toward Lithari as she passed. They didn't bend for me. In fact, one slapped me lightly on the forehead when I walked too close, as if offended by my species. Lithari pretended not to notice, but her ears definitely reacted, twitching in what I suspected was quiet amusement. "It recognizes you," she said, gesturing at the plants. It hit me. Yes, recognition can take many forms. The path narrowed, leading us toward a ridge carved into the side of a mountain that hummed with a low, steady vibration. Lithari said it was normal. I said any mountain that hummed like a refrigerator deserved at least some suspicion. She ignored that. As we climbed, she asked about Earth with genuine interest. Her ears tracked every word, rising and falling like punctuation marks. "You live in cities so tall they touch clouds. Some do, others settle for touching pollution. And your sky, it is blue. Mostly, sometimes gray. Sometimes the color of regret on Monday mornings." She looked baffled. Humans have very strange emotional categories. I shrugged, trying not to slip on the shimmering stone beneath us. We adapt. When we reached the top of the ridge, the view opened into a vast valley bathed in violet mist. In the distance, a massive crystalline structure rose like a spear of frozen lightning, glinting with all the colors of a malfunctioning hollow display. Lithari pointed toward it. "That is the archive, the outer one, not the hidden one." "The hidden one." "Every archive has a hidden archive," she said matter-of-factly. "Otherwise, what is the purpose of secrecy?" That logic was frighteningly sound. We descended toward the valley, and somewhere along the slope she stopped abruptly, raising a hand. Her ears flicked sharply left. "Do not step forward." I froze. "Why?" Her answer came in the form of a tiny creature, frog-sized, feathered and glowing bright orange, that hopped out of the grass. It opened its mouth. I expected a chirp. Instead, it unleashed a roar so loud I almost tripped backward off the slope. "Is that normal?" I wheezed. "Very normal. Do not let it bite you. It will attempt to adopt you." "Adopt?" "They attach themselves to ankles for life. Sometimes they bring gifts, sometimes bones." "Human bones?" "Unclear, better not test." We detoured around the creature, which watched us with parental disappointment. Lithari led us across a narrow bridge of crystal that hummed under our weight. The vibrations made my teeth tingle, while she walked as if she were perfectly attuned to it. Her steps caused the crystal beneath her to glow brighter. Mine dimmed again. She glanced back at me, ears folding sympathetically. "It is nothing personal. The planet is simply unsure whether you exist." I feel very validated. When we reached the valley floor, she stopped beside a cluster of metallic plants shaped like spirals. She plucked one of their glowing fruits and handed it to me. "Eat this. It will help you see in the archive tunnels." The last fruit she'd given me had turned my tongue purple for an hour. "Is it safe?" "Yes." "Are you sure?" "No." I stared. She stared back. Her ears made a little fluttering motion. "That was a joke," she said finally. "It is safe. You cannot joke about alien fruit." "Why not? You are very entertaining when anxious." I took a bite. For a moment nothing happened, and then the world flickered like someone had adjusted my retinal settings. I could see through the first layer of the plants around us, their inner structures glowing faintly, like tiny blue circuits. I blinked rapidly. You gave me temporary X-ray vision. Yes, is that not helpful? It's helpful, it's just alarming. You are welcome. We continued across the valley until we reached the crystalline tower. Up close, it radiated heat and cold simultaneously, like standing beside something alive and indecisive. A single arched doorway opened for Lithari when she approached, responding to her presence. When I stepped forward behind her, the door hesitated, flickered, and then reluctantly widened, as if grumbling about extra work. Inside, the air shimmered with floating data threads, thin strands of light drifting between walls like slow-motion shooting stars. The room pulsed with soft energy, and her ears lowered in reverence. This archive holds fragment records from before the erasure. Not everything survived. I stepped closer, and one of the glowing strands drifted near me, scanning my features with delicate prismatic light. It emitted a soft chime. Lithari's ears shot straight up. It recognizes you. Does that mean good or bad? It means you were expected. The air thickened around us, the strands converging with gentle, eerie purpose. Lithari reached forward, touching one of them. The strand pulsed, releasing an image, a distorted hologram of a human ship, centuries old, marked with symbols I didn't recognize but instinctively felt were connected to Earth. Then another projection appeared, a warning message broken, scattered by time. And then a final fragment, a map pointing toward an underground archive sealed long ago. Lithari turned to me, her voice low, her ears trembling in ways she couldn't hide. Someone erased humans from our history, someone powerful, and someone expected one of you to return. I swallowed, unable to shake the feeling that the crash hadn't been an accident, and that whoever had been waiting still was. The entrance to the hidden archive sat beneath the crystalline tower, sealed behind a panel of ancient alloy that shimmered like liquid starlight. Lithari placed her hand on the surface, and her long ears twitched as the door responded with a low harmonic hum. A circular pattern rippled outward, then dissolved, revealing a narrow corridor spiraling downward into the earth. You should walk in front, she said. Why? If there are traps, humans are more durable. I frowned. That is untrue. Her ears lifted innocently. Yes, that was also a joke. We descended together, the walls glowing with faint blue veins that pulsed like a giant heartbeat. My chest tightened, not in fear but anticipation. The fragments we saw above, the erased records, the map, had pointed here, to answers, to whatever truth had been buried so deeply that even her people treated it like myth. At the bottom, the corridor opened into a vast chamber supported by pillars of semi-transparent stone. In the center stood a tall console, dormant, covered with dust that glittered faintly in the light. Lithari brushed her fingers along its surface, shifting symbols blooming beneath her touch. Stand beside me, she said, and her tone, soft but steady, left no room for argument. The console awakened. Light erupted upward, forming spiraling shapes that merged into a coherent hologram. A calm, aged voice filled the chamber. If you are hearing this, then the cycle has begun again. A figure appeared, Litharan in form but wearing attire centuries out of date, ears adorned with metallic rings symbolic of ancient high-ranking scholars. Long ago, humans and Litharans formed a partnership beyond anything our galaxies had seen. Our knowledge fused, our technologies evolved together, but an encounter with predictive quantum models revealed a path that led to catastrophe, a collapse triggered by our unity, not our division. Fearing this future, a faction chose isolation. They severed contact and purged all records. I felt my throat tighten. They erased an entire alliance because of a prediction. Lithari stared at the hologram, eyes bright with disbelief and anger. Predictions are possibilities, not certainties. Yet they acted as if they were fate. History is written by those who think they know the future, she muttered, ears folding sharply. The hologram continued. But not all agreed. Some believed separation would create the very disaster the models warned of. And so a failsafe was created, a beacon that would one day draw a human traveler back to Lithara when the cycle was ready to be broken. I exhaled slowly, so my crash was guided, Lithari finished, voice soft. Not random, not fate, a choice made long before you existed. The chamber dimmed, leaving us surrounded by quiet shadows and the remnants of a truth buried for centuries. Lithari turned to me, her eyes searching my face. Your arrival is not a threat. It is a chance, but the Council will not want this revealed. Well, I said, good thing subtle diplomacy is one of my many non-existent skills. Her ears flicked upward, laughter hidden beneath worry. We returned to the surface, carrying the data core extracted from the archive. And as predicted, a squad of Litharan sentinels stood waiting, their armor reflecting the twilight sky. At their center was a counselor wearing pale robes that shimmered like starlight and authority. You are not authorized to enter the sacred chambers, the counselor said coldly. I stepped forward before Lithari could speak. Funny thing. My ship definitely wasn't authorized to crash here either, yet here we are. Human, this is not your debate. Actually, Lithari said, stepping beside me, it is. She activated the data core. The hologram burst forth, unavoidable, undeniable. Gasps echoed across the valley. Some ears stiffened in shock, others lowered in shame. The counselor attempted to silence the projection, but the device locked itself in a public display mode that felt suspiciously intentional. Ancient scholars were apparently very good at dramatic timing. When it ended, the silence stretched long enough for me to question whether speaking again might get me vaporized. Lithari broke it first. We cannot live in fear of predictions. Truth must return to our people. Connection must return to our worlds. The counselor's expression shifted, not acceptance, but something close to resignation. The cycle was meant to stay buried. But now that it is revealed, we must face it. In the end, the Council chose not to imprison us but to initiate a review of historical records, citing unexpected developments, which I translated loosely to, "We got caught." It wasn't victory, but it was the first step toward reopening the path between our species. Lithari walked with me to the clearing near the remains of my ship, now mostly scavenged by curious wildlife. Her ears drooped slightly. "You will leave soon." "Maybe," I said, "but I'll come back, assuming your planet stops trying to hit me with aggressive shrubbery." She smiled, a small but genuine curve of her lips. "Your presence changed more than our records." "It changed me." "Same here," I admitted. I didn't expect to land on a hidden planet, uncover a centuries-old conspiracy, or get mocked by Flora. But meeting you made the crash worth it. Her ears lifted, shimmering in the fading light. Then perhaps your path was not guided by ancient scholars alone. As I stood beside her, the sky above us glowing with bioluminescent clouds and twin moons, I felt different, not because of destiny, but because of connection. I had arrived here lost, confused, and slightly concussed. Now I stood knowing I mattered, in ways